got a few. There's just certain things that you just can't just throw out there and not expect to get reaction to. And in fact,
my junk.
Well, yeah.
Oh,
if you whip that out,
you might get a reaction.
You're going to.
Yeah, for sure.
No matter where you are, if there's other people around. That's a great example. I was referring to saying things, though.
Oh,
okay. Towards the end of yesterday's show, when we were doing the recap, we were talking about the dopey conversation we had for 30 minutes about foods that you can't live without. And there was a survey that Americans said mac and cheese #1 and butter #2.
So weird.
So somebody
American
wrote in about their dog voting for butter because this dog last night or the 2 nights ago had eaten a cube of butter and then threw up all over her. And
I can't believe it.
So as a result, we read that, and then I made that comment that I've used. Because I said use the dog's puke as lube. Don't waste it. And then I made the comment that I've used human puke as lube. It was right at the end of the show.
Wasn't it chunky though? Like, didn't that get in the way?
Ew.
Or was it one of those like?
Sorry. Just.
Oh,
please hold your questions for the end of the segment.
Oh, super detailed.
Because we got a few emails like this one. Says, can we please hear the story about Rob using vomit as lube?
No.
Well, it's been more than once, I would like to point out.
Because you liked it so much the first time?
I thought it was just once.
No, because
in high school or something.
That's the famous story that I'm going to retell. But when you
more than once.
hang out with women that like to get really drunk and want to have sex with you, and you're a committed pro like me, it's going to happen. And you can't let that get in the way of the progress.
Wouldn't the stomach acid from the vomit interact inappropriately down there? Wouldn't it cause like infections or burns? Yeah,
Hey, that's her problem.
I'm talking for you on your end.
I've not had any side effects on the 2 occasions I can remember. There may have been more than 2. But.
Just so nasty.
So the famous story that Dawn remembers, which I have told, but it's been years since I told it, and I hope. Oh, you know what? I got to do 2 things really quickly. First of all, today is my mom's birthday.
Oh my God! Happy birthday!
Happy birthday, Mom!
She wanted to preemptively, and this is why I had to do it right away at the first segment. She wanted to preemptively say happy birthday to Bernie, who has written or called in the last couple years as a listener because he remembers he has the same birthday as my mom.
Oh, that's nice.
And so in case Bernie calls or writes in later, then we get to say, well, my mom beat you to it.
She beat you this year.
So the thing that made me remember that is that I was just thinking, if I understand correctly, my dad's tradition is to wake up right now, turn on the show, check in with us, make sure his son's alive, and then he gets the newspaper because he's a billion years old.
I love that.
And he falls back asleep reading the paper.
I wonder if he's the only house, or on that street, are there a bunch of old people that have been there forever, like your dad?
Well, Dawn, since I haven't been able to visit my father in a year thanks to COVID, I don't know. But I'm hoping that he's listening to hear this glorious story, which, like I said, I have told before.
Your poor dad.
But my father and I have never discussed it, which I assume is just his stance of, we don't need to. It happened. We don't need to talk about this story.
Yeah, I envy him for that.
Which part?
That he doesn't have to talk about it with you.
Yeah. Oh, you envy him because you're about to hear the story.
Yes.
Okay. So it's actually a great story of so many things, including stupid stuff that kids should do. Not this specifically, but kids need to do stupid stuff, and everything about this story is wrong and awful. But this is what, and when you're in high school, this is what kids do. You're just stupid, and so I was 17, so this is late '80s. Brandon's barely out of diapers.
Oh, God.
Good.
And there was this smoking hot chick in high school that, even though she was smoking hot, she wasn't like popular. But
that's weird.
And she was smart because she was in all the AP classes, but she was also super slutty. And yet I had not nailed her. Huh. And so, I did the high school sweetheart thing and all that. And then, usually I know if you're in high school and you're in love, I know you're going to marry them. I understand that. But usually the way that arc goes is you break up 2 or 3 times, right? And then, you never see each other again.
Right.
And so I was working in the mall, and in comes Lisa, super hot girl, to shop at the store that I worked in, and I just decided to make a play for her. I said, hey, do you just want to go out tonight and get drunk? No,
I mean, she's a slut.
we're 17. Yeah, she's a slut. and this was after I had found my confidence, because it was in high school where I had real confidence issues. And then I went to a psychologist for 6 weeks, and he created a monster, and I've never turned back.
We can all thank him.
Yes, Dr. Feaster, I think was his name.
Oh my.
Not
Dr. Pfister.
Not Pfister. No, I think it was Feaster. I think.
Sounds like a scab.
Is he still in business?
I really
Asking
doubt
for a
it.
friend.
I really doubt he's alive.
Oh.
Actually.
Okay.
So Lisa says, yeah, sure, that sounds great. So now as a brilliant 17-year-old, I have to come up with a plan in sleepy Pleasanton, California, in the East Gay area, of how I'm going to take out another 17-year-old girl and get drunk. Now, bear in mind, there's only one reason for this. I'm going to get her drunk, we're going to get drunk, and we're going to have sex. Right. That's the entire point of this.
Yes, that's all high school boys want to do.
Brown chicken, brown cow.
And some high school girls.
Yeah.
Especially now, from what I've heard.
True.
But even then.
So true.
Even then. So I've got to figure out, well, okay, wait a minute. I don't have a house. We can't go out and do this. So now while I have a car, it's a Mustang, that's not really prone to comfortably drinking half a bottle of vodka together, and then the sex.
Right. You want to make it real comfy.
Fortunately, I just want to have room. I really do.
You can't really get leverage in the back of a Mustang.
Fortunately, my father has a pickup truck, and this is back in the days of we had a camper shell.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, well, how comfortable. So we will just get in the back of the pickup truck, and we will just drink vodka. And then it's a bed. That's why they call it a bed, right? It's the bed of a truck.
Oh, and I am sure it was the best vodka. Right? God. That's what always made me sick, I think. Well, the drinking too much of bad liquor.
See, I have to assume, because this detail I forget, I have to assume that I stole it from my dad's.
Oh, so it actually was good vodka.
No, my dad was back then. I think it was Stoli or something, and Tahoe Blue Vodka didn't exist then. Yeah. So, because I don't know where else I would have gotten it. I wasn't that kid who had a hookup, right? Like I could always get drugs or alcohol.
We always stole liquor.
I'm sure that's what I did.
We would just tell we would ask like a homeless person if they would go in and buy the booze for us, and they could buy themselves like a something as well.
Yeah. See, and I never see that. I lived a somewhat sheltered childhood in that sense, in terms of the drugs and things. I didn't learn that trick about asking an adult to go into the store until I was asked as an adult by high school kids in my early 20s. I'm like, what? Is this a thing?
And the weird thing is that because we did so many drugs in high school, there was always liquor. There was just always liquor there. Wherever it was we were going to party, to buy the drugs, liquor was just always around.
Right.
So
well, I don't have that luxury for this story, right? A, I don't do drugs. B, it's just me and Lisa.
Shoot, I got lucky because I worked at a pizza restaurant next to a liquor store. So the guy who owned the place, I'd bring him over some twists or some pizza, and I got to get what I wanted.
Hallelujah.
Oh, I like it.
So I get the vodka, and at this point it's a Friday night, and my dad's used to me going out cruising. Right, this is back when you would just drive around endlessly. In Pleasanton, it was Main Street. What is it here? Was it Sunrise here?
Yeah.
It feels like cruising might be making a comeback because everybody hangs out in parking lots now, and it's like it's the thing. It's like only thing to do is just go for a nice long drive.
Why not? So that's what my dad assumes that
you flash yourself.
That I'm doing.
Everyone gets naked.
But instead, I go pick up Lisa, who sneaks out. So she sneaks out of her house. This is I'm guessing it's like 10 o'clock at night or something like that.
Boy.
So she sneaks out. This is before cell phones. We had to have this all prearranged, right? The whole plan had to be prearranged in terms of, well, I'll be outside of your house at 10 o'clock. And
that's right.
So she sneaks out.
What a pain in the ass for us.
Now,
man.
here's my brilliant plan, okay? So Pleasanton at the time, it's not much different now. It was not nearly as upper class as it is now. It was more middle class, and it was trending towards upper middle class at this time. Nothing happens in Pleasanton, and the police have one job: to harass teenagers. I mean, there's not, because the teenagers are making the problems.
Yeah.
There's nothing else going on in Pleasanton. Now, I know this, so I have to come up with a genius plan on how, as a 17-year-old, 17-year-old Lisa and I are going to drink vodka in my father's truck without getting caught. So, of course, smart kid. I say, okay, we're just going to go a couple miles down from where I live to a residential neighborhood. I'm just going to park on the street in front of a house because it's going to look like we live there.
Oh, are you visiting?
Yeah.
And what could go wrong?
Nothing.
Now, I mean, I think this is foolproof. Now, of course, if you get experience 30 years later, you're like, first of all, the homeowners at any second could be like, what the hell's going on? Why is this truck in front of our... And none of that happened. It's such a stupid plan when you look back and you think, oh, this is so genius.
Listen, I know vomit's coming. So at this point, I am envious of this story in the sense that, like, this is a normal a normal teenager's way of thinking and how to do stuff. Just because... we were all troubled, always sneaking out, buying drugs, hanging out with drug dealers. I just totally, like, I never even thought of getting caught, nor did I care, quite honestly. I didn't even care if I got caught when I think about it.
Whereas I am terrified of getting caught by my dad, the cops.
I care less about my parents.
At 17, the cops. Oh my God.
Oh yeah, we used to just roll up in a parking lot and like put the little sun visor up in the windshield, and then we'd do whatever. But we would get caught by the cops a lot. Most of the time, they would just like shake us out of the car and say go home, or like take a lap and then walk back to your car and drive home.
We did get caught a lot, but nothing ever happened. Thank Jesus, or because I'm white. I don't know. Like, I used to always thank Jesus, but now maybe because I was white. But it's like, but we never cared. Like, the more dangerous we could be and the more we could do stuff that we might get caught was more exciting. So I love this. This is like... those of you that had normal upbringing.
And bear in mind, before the story gets very abnormal, bear in mind that I have endless friends in high school at the time who have had run-ins with the Pleasanton cops, and it was nothing like that. This was all they had to do. They did not just say, we'll drive you home. They did not say, okay, kid, no big deal. No, you got busted, you got DUI'd, you got thrown in jail. Because again, it's this is what the parents wanted in that city at the time.
So you lived in good areas. We were always like super poor or low middle class. Is that a thing, low middle class? I don't know. So our neighborhoods were never good.
So I execute my flawless plan and park in front of this random house in this neighborhood that I don't know very well. And so there's the camper shell, and it's got the sliding window, so you can get from where you drive and you sit into the camper shell by crawling through this window, because there's no way we're going to get out of the truck, because that gives us up. Somebody's going to see us.
Yeah.
You can't see two 17-year-olds getting out of the truck and crawling in the back. So we crawl into the back, and there I have the setup. A bottle of vodka and a couple of plastic cups, and we
no blanket.
We just I don't know. I doubt it.
And went through all this planning and you didn't bring a blanket?
Dude, I'm 17.
A rag?
And by the way, I ain't using the big head. Okay.
No.
There's no chaser either. You guys just straight vodka.
Straight
oh my God! At
Right.
17,
Man.
Yeah.
Lord,
That's hardcore.
She may have, honestly, Kyle, it's a fair question. I remember it being straight vodka, especially because of where it leads. We may have stopped at 7-Eleven and gotten a big gulp, but I mean, it was, yeah, it was a lot of vodka. So we commence getting drunk. And we are friends. We've been in classes together. We've sat next to each other, blah, blah, blah. And one thing leads to another, to where we're now doing the thing where you're talking about sex, right? That very Rico Suave thing where we start bringing up, what was your first time like?
Yeah,
and how many people you've been with? Whatever you can come up
you're
with.
so experienced at these ages.
And as it goes on, and it's becoming obvious that we're getting close to that moment, it also becomes very obvious that she is about to get very sick.
No.
And I'm in the back of my dad's truck. And the questions about the blanket and all that, my dad always had stuff back there. There may have been a blanket. He's got tools, things like that, off to the side and all that. But it's my dad's truck. Plus, it's now what? Midnight, 1 a.m. I don't want to clean up. What's going to happen? So, and of course, again, back to security, right? Because we don't want to get caught. Because the cops would never figure this out. Remember, we crawled through the sliding glass window to get into the back of the cab because I've already locked the cab. See, so if somebody walks up to the truck,
Right.
they can't open it. They can't get in. Right?
That's right.
And,
Nothing to see here.
Right, and cops, they don't have flashlights.
No.
So I'm good. So as she says to me, "Oh God, I'm gonna get sick," I can't just open the back of the camper shell because the camper shell has a window that you pull up and there's the tailgate.
You gotta open it from the outside.
I can't do that
Right.
because because you have to open it from the outside.
Yeah.
So I have to crawl through the window into the cab, jump out of the cab, run around, and unlock and then open the window and the tailgate. And as I do,
Oh God.
she has just begun and is throwing up all over the. Now most of it comes out of the truck
It's on the street.
onto the street, which of course causes me to get sick because she's vomiting partially on me.
yeah.
Plus there's vomit everywhere.
And the smell.
The smell, and I'm drunk, and I'm 17 and can't hold my liquor.
Oh God.
So take a moment to catch that visual. Two 17-year-olds, 12:30 at night probably or in the morning, in front of a house in a residential area of a middle-class neighborhood, and we are vomiting like a scene from Family Guy all over the street. And she's now like hanging over the tailgate, and I'm just standing there with my head down with those last wretched right? And I look up and our eyes meet and I shove my tongue deep in her mouth.
Isn't that disgusting?
Oh my God.
And she reciprocates.
Oh,
Yeah.
what a slut! She is a slut.
And so now I do that really cool thing without ever getting my tongue out of her mouth. I crawl up onto the bed of the truck, crawl through the window, close it behind me. While we're still making out, and I do vividly remember I think it was Kyle's question about infection, which I don't care about, but I do remember that it was chunky vomit. It was.
Oh my Lord.
I think both of us were smart enough to have eaten beforehand. Get the stomach going, but it all came up. And we went from there into the debaucherous sex. So technically, did I use vomit as lube? No, but there was
vomit involved
there
in
was.
this sexcapade.
There was. It was.
That is disgusting.
After the deed was done the next day, did your dad question you why it smelled like vomit and sex in the back of his
Yeah.
truck?
Well,
God.
so after Lisa and I got finished, we went to a gas station because what else is open in the late 80s? Nothing's open 24 hours except 7-Elevens and gas stations.
Yeah.
And I think it was a combination, 7-Eleven gas station. And so that now that after everything, now she's going to get cleaned up because she's got to go home. And I've got to clean up the truck a little bit.
Poor girl.
Poor girl. She had a good time. Trust me. I performed all of my tasks. By the way, we did both use our mouths on each other's body parts. Oh yeah.
After the lube was applied?
Yeah, but nothing happened until the vomit started. So
Okay.
everything's
Yeah, right,
vomit
right. Okay.
is vomit related.
He had extra snacks.
So
Did this girl end up like in porn or a stripper?
not that I know of. I don't know whatever happened to. I mean, I don't know anybody in high school.
Yeah.
I don't Google people's names and things like
Maybe
that.
she's in politics.
No, I was gonna say, yeah, she's probably a scientist or something. Girls like that always end up really successful.
She's-
Do you know what she is like? Because there were like high school. This is how we all were in high school. Oh, you had to have a large crowd you hung out with. There was like 10 of us. obviously none of us stayed in touch except one, me and my friend Michelle. We've known each other since high school. But one of the gals that we hung out with, fast forward years later, extremely successful in what she does, but she is very much into the underworld, seedy, I've told the story before, sex life, where I don't know if she's a dom, or I think she tortures men. They like it. She goes to those parties, sex
like a
parties.
dominatrix
type. Yes, and you're just like, and it's hard to picture.
We all have our dark sides in some way or the other.
In a way, don't we all kind of torture men?
Yes. I'll answer that one. So I do an expert job of using the paper towels or whatever they have at the gas pump for when you clean your windshield, to use that to clean up the vomit. No, I mean that's all it needs, right?
Yeah.
So I go home and
oh God,
get into and I go to bed, whatever. And yes, the next morning, and my father, again, my father's just the most understanding, fantastic dad. Yeah. And at this point, remember, he started thinking that I was my own person when I was 8. Jesus. At this point, I'm 17.
Wow.
And he's like, I know exactly what he was thinking. He's doing what I did in his own way. He made it home safely. I don't know what he did, but he simply comes to me and he says, I take it you had some friends with you last night, and it looks like one of them got sick in the back of the pickup. Now, by this sentence, he has deduced how hungover I am. And so he basically lets me go back to sleep. And he acknowledges, yes, I know something that happened. He goes and he gets the truck cleaned, and we never speak of it again. He
is just so, I almost feel like he invented love and logic. It's a form of parenting that some parents can learn how to do. It's set up like in the foster care system for foster parents, but actual parents that have their own kids can go to these classes. And every time you talk about your father, I'm like, did he invent it? Because that's exactly how they act and respond. And you think of most parents, you are getting yelled at. You are in so much trouble. You're being restricted. You're not going out. You're washing and cleaning and paying for that truck. Everything that's going to cost to detail it. Just the whole thing.
Well, I mean, despite this story, I was a really good kid. I mean, I was the kind of kid that you wanted if you accepted that kids are going to do stupid stuff like this.
Yeah.
And B, my father also knew, at least with me and the way they had raised me, that anything like what you just said would have the adverse effect.
Absolutely.
It would send me the wrong way.
Yeah.
And instead, he basically, without saying it, he said, look, I know what you did. Either don't do it again or don't get caught, and you're a grown boy, and it's over, without saying any of those words.
Oh yeah, that wouldn't happen for me. I have thrown up in my dad's truck before, and it was because it was my birthday and I was having a good time. But first thing that next morning, oh boy, I was getting it detailed. That's for damn sure.
I think that is key, because I've heard a lot over the years, like from some teenagers that are like, they get really discouraged because they are a good kid, right? They're doing well in sports. They do enjoy their sports. They don't hang out with, quote, bad people. Their grades are really good. They have goals. They have a job. And yet they're still not trusted. And they're still treated like a child, which they are a child, but to them, right, they're not 12. Now they're 16, and there is a difference for yourself when you go from 12 to 16. And so it becomes kind of depressing for them. They're like, kind of, when they talk to us, it's like, at what point am I going to earn this trust? Like, because the things they'll do are typical teenager things, not something that you should be horrified by.
Being precocious, the latter of those would have been the worst for me. I could not stand. Look, I might have been 17, but I was 37 in my mind, and I could go out into the real world, and I could be completely successful at any moment. So to be treated like a child, it would have sent me reeling. All right, initial reactions from RAD at radradio.com. This is from Raquel.
Hey, Raquel.
She says, wow, Rob, chunky vomit. I mean, come on. That was absolutely so hard to hear this early in the morning. Would it be better at 2 this afternoon, Raquel? Would it really? No, it would not. This is from Spencer.
Sweet. What's up, Spencer?
Oh, come on. He says, I'm at work. I just puked.
Okay, Sally.
Jesus Christ, Rob, this is horrible. Oh,
Wow, yeah, no.
Stop it.
That's a bit much.
And this is from Bob.
Hey, Bob.
He says, as you can see here, ladies and gentlemen, Rob is not going to die from COVID. No, I started building up that immune system early on. A little street vomit is lube. We're all good.